Hello, Amherst County Public Schools. This is Rob Arnold, Superintendent, and I'd like to first say that I hope that everybody had a restful and enjoyable Easter break, Easter weekend, and hopefully had an opportunity to, one way or another, spend some time with your family. And so I just want to hope that everybody had a really good weekend. And so first I want to thank some folks. There are a lot of people doing a lot of good work right now. We have an essential group of workers, our maintenance staff, our transportation staff, and our nutrition staff. They are primarily responsible for getting our food out to our students, and that's happening on a daily basis. I think if you look around in the region, a lot of the school divisions have pulled back to a day or two a week, and we are still doing every day, and quite honestly it is still needed every day, as we're on average giving about 2,000 meals a day. So I want to thank those people. To our instructional and our instructional staff, our teachers, our support staff, I want to thank you guys for your work in the last month, getting these at-home learning plans and opportunities up and running. Once again, doing a great job of that. As a matter of fact, as you've watched this unfold in the last month, I really believe that the work that you guys have done has really set us apart in the region as leaders of school divisions, and we've had a lot of school divisions look to us to see how we're handling these issues. And so I want to thank you all for the work that you're doing to provide for our students. And so the goal of this video is twofold. I want to provide a few reminders about what's coming up and what are some of the expectations around that. And then I want to lay out a plan for the future. And so let's start with reminders first. And so, as you know, this Friday, April 17th, from 10 to 12 at each of our schools, we'll be doing packet pickups. And so, as you remember, grades pre-K through 2 will be doing printed packets, and grades 3 through 12 will be distributing our flash drives. And so that's a really important day for us. And starting the very next week, which is April 20th, we will begin contacting for academic support. We'll begin contacting parents and students. This past 2 weeks, you should have had the opportunity to contact your students to determine what an appropriate communication plan would be. And so whether that was on phone call or by something like Google Meet, if they had internet access, we wanted to make those things available for our students every week until June 1st. So from now until the end of the school year, we'd like for you to be able to reach out to each student so you can guide them through the weekly lesson plans that you guys have worked really hard to get together. The reason why we want you to contact our students is because the support here is what's most important, and it is critical now because you have parents who are struggling, trying to provide that support to their students, and we need to be assisting with that. And so I'm going to share something with you to kind of give you a sense of how critical it is for our students to stay engaged, and how important then it is for you to support them. And so I'm going to show you a slide. We're going to use some technology here, so bear with me. But this slide is, it comes from the Northwest Education Association. They have a product called the MAP test, and MAP test reading and math skills grades 3 through 8, and so it's a national test. So the test has a scoring system which basically, since so many kids take it, they can do some pretty appropriate averaging of what a typical third grader or fourth grader or fifth grader would look like at different points in the year. So over on the far left-hand side with the RIT score, RIT score is just the score that they use on their testing. And then so you can see it goes from 180 to 240. And so a typical third grader, if we're following along, a typical third grader at the beginning of the year would score below 190. So right in here, if you can see that for a third grader. So if you follow the course of the year, typically that student would get to this point on a third grade test, which is just above 200, and that's kind of where the fourth grade starts, which that stands to reason, obviously. However, as you know, this year we ended right here on March the 13th, and that's when school closed. And so if you go back and look at the typical last day, you've heard of summer slide. So summer slide refers to the learning loss that occurs over the summer month, June, July, and August. And so on a typical year, a student in the third grade who got to roughly 200 on a RIT score would give back some of their learning to there. So that is the summer slide. The COVID slide, however, has been forecasted by the folks at NWEA, and they are showing it to get to here. So if you look at how that line progresses from March 13th to about the time we start back at school, you think about that amount of learning loss is pretty significant. It's actually more significant the younger you are. So if you look at just above that in the fourth grade, that the COVID slide can take a fourth grade student all the way back to where a third grade student ends their summer. And so that's obviously very significant. And so that's why it is so vital that you stay connected to your students and give them the support that they're going to need, because it is not easy for them to be doing this work without you, the teacher. And as I've said all along, you, the teacher, are the most important people in those kids' lives as far as academic growth is. Okay, so let's move on away from that, and let's talk a little bit about the next couple of weeks. In the next week, starting April 20th, our counselors will be reaching out to all of our students. They'll be discussing things like grades and promotion and the SOLs, those kinds of things. And so that will start happening the beginning of next week. May the 29th, we will distribute the report cards, and so you can look for those coming. And then since I said that the learning packets will get us through June, the following week, like June 8th, we have a project that's coming out. Earlier this month, we were able to secure an agreement with WSET to air instructional programming on their it's a channel called it's a 13.2, which is available over through an antenna, and the local cable companies air 13.2. But what we're going to do, since we understand that not all of our students have high-speed and reliable internet, we're going to start to produce lessons that will be shown on WSET's 13.2 channel. And so what it will look like starting in June is that for 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, we will air 5 hours of programming on large universal skills that are going to be useful to all students to kind of keep them engaged in the learning process. And we will work through math, literacy, science, and social studies. So we're really excited about that, but that's coming sometime in June. So those are the reminders and some updates about how things are going and where we're going. What I want to do now is talk to you a little bit about what the future looks like and what maybe this pandemic, there are a lot of negatives associated with it, but we also think that there are a lot of opportunities that can come from this. And so I want to lay out a case to you, and I want to start with a video that comes from Ted Dintersmith. He is the person that produced Most Likely to Succeed. It's a documentary about basically about innovation in the classroom. And so I'm going to let you watch this real quick. So that's a very exciting look about the future. It's exciting, but it's also scary. And it's scary to me, and it's probably scary to you, because this is the future that the students that we currently have are going to face. And I am not sure that public education in America is doing the things that are going to make our students ready for this. And so just to give you some, I guess, some perspective on this, there was 120 years ago, there was a committee of 10 who formed, and they were industry titans, people like Rockefeller and Vanderbilt. And those guys got together because they had a problem. They needed to figure out the best way to make their factories efficient and standardized. And so if they had a factory in New York State or Ohio or California, that the people in them were doing the same thing and the product that they were producing was the same thing. And so they created a education system based on this industrial model. They decided when classes were taught in for example, like chemistry. Your junior year, you're supposed to take chemistry, or your junior year is supposed to take U.S. history. That was 120 years ago. And the things that they put in place 120 years ago are still in place. But I think you'd agree with me that we don't live in an industrial model anymore. We're in an information age, an age that has complex problems that require very complex solutions. And we have to be preparing our students for that eventuality. You all have been a part of the standards-based era, the SOL era. It's been going strong for about 25 years. And I will contend that success on an SOL test does not determine whether a student is life ready or not. And I think you would agree with me because so much of what the SOLs have tested are your knowledge of facts and your ability to take a test. And so I think this is an opportunity for us to kind of move away from that. And I will guarantee you that everybody I'm speaking to has had one moment in their career where they said, I wish I could do this differently. I understand the value of the standards, that everybody gets to learn the same things, but I know that everybody I've talked to has at one point or another said, gosh, it would be so great if we could try different things and be more innovative. Well, what I'm telling you today is we have that opportunity. I think this pandemic that we're dealing with, the idea that we are teaching our students from a distance, this idea that we have just had our testing waived and our clock hours waived, and all of these things have been waived, which, when we have big changes in our society, new things come out of it. And when I said earlier, we're leaders in this area, dealing with this pandemic, I also want to be leaders in this country and how we prepare kids for their future. Now, so what I want to offer is the opportunity for you, the teacher, to use much more innovative approaches. Now, when I talk about innovation, I am not saying that we need to teach the same way with more technology. That's not what innovation is. Innovation means that we are teaching students how to, we're incorporating the 5 C's, how they become critical thinkers, how they become more creative and collaborative and better communicators, and that they ultimately know how to solve the complex problems that we're facing. I mean, look no further than what we're dealing with right now with COVID-19, a complex problem that has enormous implications on decisions that are made. And so we need a generation of students that can think in those terms and can solve some of this world's problems. You may know that Amherst County Public Schools was chosen to be in the Virginia's for Learners Innovation Network, and that network was created as a cohort, and it was created to from a grassroots level to start to develop more innovative approaches to teaching and learning. And so we are in this cohort now, and we've been working. We had a conference early winter, I think it was February, that we went to a conference in Richmond, started learning about some of these things, and partly that video came from that. But what we want to offer to our staff, our teachers, is we want to develop an innovative teacher cohort. And so we are looking for between 20 and 25 volunteers to volunteer to become a part of our innovative teacher network. And we require 4 things. There'll be an application that goes out next Wednesday, April the 22nd. The application window will stay open until May 1st. So we need you to apply if you're interested. We expect you to use innovative approaches in your school year. When we come back to the teaching and learning in our buildings, we expect the folks in the innovative cohort to be innovative. We expect, if you're in the cohort, to be a part of a monthly cohort meeting. And we also expect that you go through professional development to kind of hone your skills as an innovator. We know that you might have questions. If you do have questions, you certainly can contact me or Dr. Norman, and we will be glad to answer those. But ultimately, we think we have a real opportunity here to do truly what we've all talked about, and that's developing life-ready students. And I want to take this opportunity of great uncertainty and of great change to come out of this in a way that is going to be meaningful to our students. And so if you're interested, please reach out to us or fill out the application. It is limited space. We can only take between 20 and 25, but would like for you to do that. And that's all I have for today. I want to wish that everybody remains safe, protect you and your family, and I hope you have a great day.